Good morning. Yay. We are concurrent session number 2. So if you were here yesterday, it was fun, and it was great to kick it off. And so today, I'm going to introduce you to Langston and Preston. And they are the Just the Chicken Guys. Raise your hand if you've ever heard of the Just the Chicken Guys. Woo! Yep. Who have they been at your school? Woo! All right, today is the day. They just came to my school.
February.
February 9th. We got to the presentation.
No, I know not me personally. But it was awesome. They came to our elementary school, which is next door, and in the middle school, because I'm in the middle school. And so we did like a combo morning with them, and they took pictures. The kids were thrilled. And they, with our grades, we had 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, they kind of adjusted what they said and their presentation to the students. And so it was quite awesome. So every year when they come back, it's going to be a little different. The kids like, oh, the guys are back, But they were so excited to get pictures with them, and so we were just thrilled. And I saw their name on the thing, and I said, oh, I must talk. So I must introduce them. So y'all, please enjoy their presentation, and I hope that you can work it out and have them come to your school too.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Appreciate y'all. And she took the words right out of my mouth. We were going to ask how many schools we've been to, where if we had a chance to actually work and visit with your school, because that's one of our biggest passions. Yeah, we love creating our books, but we also love sharing our passion for the writing process, how we created the writing process, how we got to a point of getting all these big words and all this different stuff. Most importantly, connecting with kids that look and are from the state just like us, because we grew up in the low country. If you kind of look right here, that's me on the right-hand side when I had a little bit of long hair not too long ago. Then I got smart and I cut it off because it got, hanging underneath the dryer for a couple hours at a time and just losing those hours on my life. So that's me on the right-hand side. When I had a little bit of hair, and that's Preston on the left-hand side. Of course, playing in the NFL, we always joke with the kids because when we come into the school, they already know about our physical sides and all, of course, our football stuff. But the biggest thing we always talk about is that the NFL stands for not for long. Because the NFL is a talent-driven thing. You got to have a whole bunch of talent, right, to even make it to that point. And we'll talk about all that different stuff, but that's our biggest thing right here. We created a company off these same skills that we share with your students, reading, writing, and speaking. And this is our logo for our company. And these are the things that are important to us. If you're from South Carolina, from the South period, football, faith, family, food, you better have some of that stuff up in there, so that's up there for us. Books are really important. The state of South Carolina, of course, our icon from our books and our characters. And that's our whole point, is what we say is that we were grown here, we were made here. Public school raised, public school pizza, that's why my body still kind of look a little puffy. Eating all those school carbs, it don't come off as easy as you did back when I was in the day. But they messed it up, right? And again, no more triangle pizza, tostada pizza, all this different stuff. But that's the biggest thing. When we come into the school, everything we're trying to connect and share with your students are the things that are available to them now. And I hate to go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off, but it's all the stuff you guys have been telling them already. And so it's kind of just like reinforcing the message that, when your little brother, when your mom tells you to clean up your room, you don't listen, but when your brother's like, man, clean up your room before we mess it up for all of us. And that's kind of how it is. Who the messenger is a lot of times is really important, especially when we're talking about these skills of reading, writing, and speaking, because they start to roll their eyes a little. I mean, as literacy folks, sometimes we hear this stuff, we start to, oh man, here we go again.
Yeah, so I'm Preston. Hello, everybody. Let me see. What is everybody's official titles in here? Because again, I went to school way back in the 90s and the 2000s. Not to judge anybody, but it seems like most of us did. So that being said, they were only librarians, right? So what are our titles in here? Librarian, media specialist, preferred librarian. What else do we have? Media specialist, all right? I just wanted to think, because I know in a lot of places, the librarian and the media specialist gets tasked with, as I said on the last slide, I taught for 11 years, and I was probably the teacher that annoyed you, because I would come to you with all of these different cords and dongles and saying, I need help, I'm trying to run this test, and I don't figure out. And you're like, all right, Coach Thorne, figure it out, we're going to get it together. So that's what we had to do. We had to get everything together and put all our stuff. Come and find out of all these cords that we had, Do you think we had the one that we needed? Yeah. Of course not. Of course not. So we ended up getting the one that we needed so we could get everything together. But just like Lacey said, man, I grew up here. I was raised here. I went to Somerville High School. Grew up in Somerville. I taught, and it seems like I almost don't feel like I can count it anymore because I taught for a long time at Blythewood High School, and I taught for 11 years in the classroom. And you know how those years start to kind of, I have to always remind myself, like, how long did I actually teach? How long was I in there? So I taught at Blythewood High School for all those years, and now we've been doing this for a while now. So we published our first book in 2015, which is amazing because when we start going out into some of these schools, especially elementary schools, we're starting to say, like, we published our book in 2015, and the students are like, I was born in 2016. And it's like, oh my gosh. It's like, so our book is now older than some of our students now, which is really fascinating.
But that circles back to the testament when we talk about relying on talents. Talents fade. We used to be tight, gonna be flappier sometime. That hair that was there, you're gonna get little patches, or it might turn a different color, or whatever it is. All those, used to be a hand model, now your hands got some scars and wrinkles on them. The whole point, anything physical or talent laden, you're gonna lose it. And that's the thing we always tell kids, because again, I wanna be in the NFL, I wanna be Beyonce, I wanna be the Masked Singer, I wanna be, and all of that stuff is cool, and we hope that they do that, but more than likely, even if you do get a chance to do it, it's gonna be not for long. And so for us, our books and having it and telling that story, that something we produced and created years ago is still the reason why we're standing in front of you, because y'all don't want to hear these old football stories that y'all don't even remember us. So what's the point? The reason why we're here is because of these books. And that's the thing we tell them. Yeah, it's cool to watch YouTube. Yeah, it's cool to watch all these other people creating, but you got to build your skills up and start creating and stuff too. And the more you do that, the more you can become a professional, but also start to raise up your own cachet and your own confidence.
This is what we talk about. This is our state. It's our statement. This is our state. This is where we're from. And we know that we're trying to increase and aid you all in building this culture of literacy, building a culture of literacy in the state. And so, really quick, roll call. Who is from the upstate? Raise your hand if you're from the upstate. What we got? Where you from? Matter of fact, give me the school. Where you from?
Thornhill Charter School, Clinton, South Carolina, Lawrence County.
That's right. That's right.
Central Academy of the Arts, Pickens.
Pickens. You know we get a tough time when we got to go to Pickens. But, it's rough. It's rough. But we've been there. Yeah.
Dickinsville Elementary and Hagerstown.
Okay.
Christ Church Middle School, Greenville.
Christ Church. All right. Awesome.
York Intermediate, York, South Carolina.
York. We've been through that way.
What you got?
Whitehall Elementary, Anderson.
Whitehall Elementary.
Y'all were just there on the crazy Sandy.
Man, so we get to that in a second. It was a wild day. It was a wild day. All right, who's from the Midlands? All right, we got the Midlands. We got the Midlands in the building. School.
North Central Middle School.
All right.
Newberry Elementary.
Newberry.
Reuben Elementary and Whitmire Community School.
I don't know if this counts, South Lawrence High School.
Yeah, what do y'all consider yourselves? Midlands or PD? What y'all consider yourselves? PD. All right.
Ridgeview High School.
Ridgeview High.
Hey, go Blazers.
Go Blazers. All right. Now I did say I taught at Blythewood High School, so it's a little residual there, but it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right. There was a time when it was only us on that side of town, and now there's other schools out there, so it's kind of split the rivalry. PD. Anybody else from PD? Yes.
Lake City.
Lake City. As somebody said, LC. We was like, what?
City by the Lake.
City by the Lake. We was like, where is that? It's like, okay.
Because I spent my summers in King Street, and again, that was a big city. We go to King Street to go get real food as opposed to out the gas station or something.
What you got?
Manning High School.
Manning,
Clarendon.
Yep, over Pat Fleming. Yes.
Williamsburg County.
Yeah.
King Street, Williamsburg
We used to
County.
be the Boll Weevils, now we the Jaguars now or something like that.
No, we changed
We are the Blazers.
The Blazers.
Come on, keep up.
How can I confuse the Boll Weevils with the Blazers? I'm just saying.
That's right, see you, Murray. Y'all know y'all about to be proud. Darius Rush is about to do very well coming up here. So we're very proud of Darius that's coming out of there. Low Country, who's from the Low Country? Where my Low Country folks? What you got?
Sangre Elementary in Somerville, Berkeley County.
The other side of Somerville, right across the bridge over there. Yep.
William J. Clark in Orangeburg County.
Yep. We know very familiar. I thought I saw another over here.
I'm from Kingston Elementary, I'm in Ori.
Yep. So this again, we traveled state, and just last week when we was going through, well, it wasn't last week, but just over the past course of the past of this month, which was obviously Read Across America. We said it's Read Across the State. We've been traveling across the state. So we was at Independence Elementary earlier up in the upstate, up towards Rock Hill. We did some work there in elementary schools. And if you notice, we'll travel across the state, and we travel up and down the grade curriculum. So we do middle school, we do elementary school, we do high school. So we was in Independence.
Had a chance to go out to Greenwood, the big city of Greenwood.
We was out there in Greenwood, right? We was at Woodfield Elementary in Greenwood. We was there. And we talked to elementary school students there. This is all in the course of Read Across America Week. We were, this is Langston giving us a chance to talk about that in a second. Whitehall, though. You said it was the craziest day of the year. Would you like to explain what that means?
Well, it was pajama day.
Right?
First, it was pajama day.
And then, while you guys were there, I'm assuming they decided to call school and dismiss us at noon. So we were like moving kids in and out of places. Kindergartners showed up to me at one point when they left 5 minutes later, came back 5 minutes after that. Like, I have no idea what happened to y'all because I was only in there for 1 second.
It was just typical.
Oh, that's amazing.
Thank you. But it was just typical school day.
That's what I'm about to say. It's just a normal Friday for y'all. It's a normal Thursday. That's all it was.
Good stuff happening.
Mhm.
So yeah, we travel. We've been all across the state. Just even the past week, we've been there. I was telling the folks down from Orangeburg yesterday. We came from Bamberg Middle. Earlier this week, we were in
Timberland High School. This is the
Timberland High
trivia
School
game
in
we
Low
like to play
Country.
with ourselves. Like,
Yeah.
okay, where were we yesterday? Where were we? Timberland, Bamberg Middle School,
Springdale Elementary over here at West Columbia. So even throughout the course of this week, we did middle, elementary, and high school throughout the course of the weekend. As we said, we sort of tailor our conversation towards those folks. I like Langston to talk about this picture here because he likes to point out the obvious of this picture.
Yeah, the obvious in this picture is one of these dudes is a Super Bowl champion. One of these dudes has like $50 million. One of these dudes is probably going to be playing for the Jets. And the other guy is me over here. Trying, yeah, with a lot of hair. So that's also an old picture now. Has some muscles right there. It's not, you don't have the little bat wing flying around. But this is the cool thing making this a picture because if this was a video, Aaron Rodgers, the guy with $50 million this year, shook me off, threw the ball down the field. And if you kind of know the narrative, the theme of this whole, these two teams right here, this team wins, this team don't ever win. Ever. Detroit Lions, this year, I think we lost every single game. We set a record for
Wait.
No.
Because language is important.
It is.
You said you think we lost every game.
We did lose every game.
Oh,
That's
okay.
a fact.
Oh.
And this is a great point when we have to talk with the students because a lot of students come up with, oh, LeBron James is this is where words and facts and statistics come into play, and this is where we can start using some of these things. But yeah, we did lose every single game, and that's the value of a picture because I can take a snapshot and it wasn't the whole videotape where they beat us like 50 to nothing, like something like that. So again, football career, that's what we say. You might have some talent, but your talent might take you to this place. You don't get to choose who uses your talent. You might end up on the Detroit Lions and just go for your life.
Or your talent might be a long time ago. I tell the kids, I played so long ago you can't even see the picture when I was playing. It's so pixelated, it might as well be in black and white. How long ago? There's a historical reference. You can really tell how long. Anybody can see the historical thing of how we know this was a long time ago? There's one obvious glaring factor in this picture. Russell Athletics. It's not Under Armour, it ain't Nike.
It ain't Aloe, it ain't the new stuff.
You find Russell Athletic way back in Walmart on the dollar bin somewhere along the line. So that was a long time ago. But that's what we said. We did this a long time ago. So it's cool that we did that, but we tell the students that we're building on what we do now when we build on the concept of reading, writing, and speaking. Because this is the idea. How many of us had one of these? What can we do with this?
Sound like the middle school kids.
Nothing. What could we have done with this? What can we do? We can still do it today. What can we do? We can text. However, when you text, how do you have to text on this? Yeah. B, C. Okay. So you can text, but it's very limited.
What else? Can you text pictures? Really? That Russell Athletic full, non-4K picture, baby. And they gonna charge you $5 to text it.
It'll come through all pixelated a little bit at a time.
Whenever this thing downloads, I think it's gonna be an important picture.
All right, what else can you do? You can call. Can you FaceTime? No.
Three-way call?
No.
We're gonna make sure it's, what are we getting now when they call us? Potential spam, don't answer. They're gonna say that on there?
Caller ID? No.
Everybody gonna be calling asking to buy your house.
Just answer the phone. What else can we do?
Tell time.
You can tell time.
This is correct, but it might not be accurate.
If you didn't set your clock ahead, you might gotta wait till you gotta do that. Oh, I forgot it was ahead. All right, so
Why am I late to everything? Because the time changes, it didn't update automatically. Was there Wi-Fi connection? No, none of that stuff.
No.
You used to have to pay for text. You used to have to pay, was it free after 9 o'clock at night? Now it's unlimited everything. Rest of it.
3 after 9. I can't call you till 9. Hold up, man. Call me back.
Hold that thought.
Hold up. 9 o'clock. All right, so we know this is the thing. This is one of the things we always, and this has been fail-safe because obviously we know where, I say we know where our students live, but we live here. This is where we live. We live right here. This is where we live. This is where your students live. This is where we all live. Fortunately, unfortunately, whatever the case is. And if you look at these, we can do everything that we just said. We can do it in spades and tens. We can do whatever. We can't just call. Now we can FaceTime. We can turn it around. We can
Group FaceTime.
FaceTime.
We can get paid. We can.
This is one of our favorite things. We said, let's say, all right, Langston, if Langston owes me money.
And I do, for sure.
He does. We work together. Langston owes me money. How could I use this tool to get that money from? What could I use? Cash App.
I don't got that.
Langston said he don't have Cash App.
I don't got
Zelle.
that.
He said he don't have Zelle.
I don't got that.
He said he don't have them.
I don't got that.
Apple. He said he don't.
I don't got that.
Facebook Pay. You ain't got Facebook.
Nope. PayPal. Nope. Somebody said GPS. Give me a GPS.
Let me find it. I'm gonna find it.
That is also an option because I can drop a pin. Unlike with the flip phone, if somebody owes you money, you could be like, and we could be from the same little small town and be like, I know you in town, but where you at in town so I can come run up on you and get this money back from you. But again, the whole point of that exercise is this. When you build up those skills, a lot of people, we just know in life people are going to say no. But the more you build those skills up, you're going to run out of no's from the people you start giving it to. Because the more creative you're going to get with your writing skills, the more creative you're going to get with your speaking skills. And again, we know life is going to happen. People are going to be like, no, maybe the budget doesn't work this time. There's only this many scholarships. But if you continue to keep trying and continue to keep shooting those shots, eventually you're going to have to get that money. I have to pay Preston back this money because ain't no more excuses. And that's the same thing we talk about because every day, I got the little alert this morning. Do you want to update the software on your phone? Now, I do have an older version of this phone, and it's amazing that the kids can be like, iPhone AS, that's old, that's an old phone. It looks new, but it's old, sir. And they know these things, it's really crazy. But when we're asking about text-dependent analysis and all this other stuff, they're like, oh, I don't know what that stuff is. But the whole point is, that's what we do in school. That's what our students do a lot in school. Every day I wake up, I see, oh man, I don't want to update my phone because I like the software. I'm used to this. I like how everything's fixed on my phone. I got it just figured out just right. And that's kind of like how our kids are. They got to a certain point in school, they learned a little bit of something, know a little bit of something, but they don't want to continue to update their phone. And we say it's called updating your dome. And every day we get a choice. When our kids come to school, you don't got to update it all, but you got to click that button a little bit. You got to show up. You got to do those things. And that's why we love making this connection using the phone analogy between the flip phone and the smartphone. Because yes, at one time, StarTech, Motorola, flip phone, woo, was the best thing ever. But man, the first time you can put dog ears on your cell phone on a smartphone, or the first time you can order DoorDash, oh my goodness, forget that StarTech Motorola.
Yeah.
This is bigger, better, faster, and stronger.
That's the conversation we had, but we basically tell them, look, if you don't upgrade your reading skills, if you don't upgrade your writing skills, if you don't upgrade your speaking skills, you're gonna be a flip phone. And we know where you find flip phones. You find them in the back of the closet. You find them in a drawer somewhere. Maybe somebody uses them. They might be in the dollar store. They might not be worth money. This is an illustration that regardless of how else you want to take, they get that very clearly. Because, oh yeah, my grandmama got a flip phone that she used or whatever. They know that understanding. And when we put this picture, I think, woo! woo. I'm like, hold on a second, we ain't giving them away.
They act like they Tim Cook or somebody,
Yeah,
like
we
they
ain't
an
giving
Apple
it away.
Store or something.
But they get that, we understand that concept, and so what we talk to them about is updating their skills that they have. Say the skills pay the bills: reading, writing, and speaking. Again, this is not earth-shattering. This is not news. This is not breaking. This is not anything that you haven't told them for the other 180 days of the year. But sometimes it's a little different having it come from a different message. Or sometimes the teacher can say, you remember what those dudes said? And he's like, oh yeah, well, it did say something about it. Oh, okay, all right. I'll listen, I guess. So we don't do that. We kind of say like, we're just kind of like the muscle behind your message. We already come in as what you say. We're not coming in to improve anything different. All we gonna, a lot of times we just hear a lot of teachers just,
doing the Mr. Ed, hitting the floor 2 times.
I tell you
trying to
that,
get their
told you
student to
that.
look at them or something.
That's what our sort of goals are.
And that's one of the biggest things we talk about, those 3 skills: reading, writing, and speaking. We're not telling them what to read about, write about, and speak about. That's their choice. We want them to have autonomy because they already use the skill of picking out the right YouTube clip, the right Netflix. There's a gajillion different things. They already know predictions, inferencing skills. Who is this for? But all we're trying to tell you is use this same skill when it comes to building up your literacy skills. The things that I like to read in 3rd grade, lo and behold, is the things I like to read right now in 41st grade. What grade am I in right now? 41st grade. It's just bigger books, and that's what we tell them. Yeah, you're gonna have to read certain things. We was in a class the other day. I got really excited. They was like, we read To Kill a Mockingbird. I was like, man, y'all, and they were like, it was terrible. And I was like, oh man, it hurt my little heart. Because that was one of my favorite books, but that doesn't mean that's one of their favorite books. We know everybody has requirements in the classroom and all those different things, but when it comes down to them building up their own skills, because some of them are better writers than others. Some of them can read, they're reading, but they ain't let you know they can read. They hit you with the, I don't know. Or some of them, we all know, some of them can really, really talk and be creative with their language. We just gotta get you to be more persuasive when we're talking, having these dialogues and things. And so that's the whole point. Having them figure out what skills they're lacking and working on those skills and using our own example of practice sports, they all understand that parallel.
Because that's the idea of practice. We know that. We understand practice when it talks about sports. You see them out there dribbling the ball all day. It won't be dribbling the ball all day. It'll be throwing the ball against the wall. And it's the same concept with reading, writing, and speaking. We ask them a really simple question, and they get it. Say, if you want to get better at reading, what should you do? And they all say, read. You want to get better at writing, what should you do? Write. Duh, we get it. So we got to do more of that because it's the same thing in sports. If I wanted to get better at sprinting, as I used to want to do.
Used to. Nice name of a book.
I gotta work on sprinting, right? I have to work on that. That's the thing that I can't get better at sprinting by walking. That's how I work out now. Let me count my steps. You know what I'm saying? That ain't gonna cut it, but that's what I do today. But that ain't gonna work for sprinting. If I want to get better at sprinting, I gotta sprint. We want to get better at running, or if I want to get better at doing push-ups, I gotta do push-ups. We always say this. The analogy we make is that reading is like lifting weights for your brain. It's like lifting weights for your brain. It's like exercise for your brain, but it's not just exercise. It's really getting your brain to strain that last little bit that you get out of it. Because there's a big difference between running or walking a mile on a treadmill, or walking a mile on the track, or walking a mile in your neighborhood with the hills and the turns and all that stuff. And that's what reading is like. Reading is the actual physical work for your brain. They get that concept.
For sure, because a lot of them are kind of on the treadmill. They're getting a lot of literacy every day with social media, but it's in little sound bites. But just like the analogy Preston used with the treadmill, I can say I want to walk for a mile, but I might only be good for a half a mile. I can hold on, and it's going to drag me to the finish line. My knees and everything might be, I can slow it down a little. Eventually, I'll get there. And that's kind of like the little bit of literacy they get right now. But that's a big difference between actual tactile books or magazines or actually writing something down versus putting notes. Again, if given the choice of nothing to that, please do a little bit. A little bit is better than nothing. But if you really want to get that work, if you really want to make some money, we're telling you, you got to stand on the books you read. If the only way you reach the top shelf of life, first class flights, Chick-fil-A every day, except on Sundays, whatever it is you want, you got to stand on the books you read. If you ain't standing on no books, you begging, you waiting. Man, I hope something fall down. And if you hungry, or if you're trying to do anything in your life, you want to get your mama some health care or something, you might be waiting for a really, really long time. Again, it goes back to trying to give them some power and some choice.
So these are 3 books that we wrote. That we published to this point. Not saying that we've written, because we've written some other stuff that wasn't publishable because it wasn't very good. That's how writing works.
Detroit Lions again, here we go.
Yeah. So it's interesting. You look at the timeline. So 2015, as you said, it's interesting that was our first book at Just a Chicken. Our second book, Just a Chicken Little, came out in 2019. And then obviously the world changed, right? So a lot of times we haven't really had an opportunity to go out to schools to really talk about that book. And then we wrote Houston Was a Rooster during our time when we were basically in lockdown. And so that's what we used that time to do. And we came out of that time with our story. And all of them, as with any writing, is relevant to where you are. Just a Chicken was a story that our coach used to tell us about self-image and self-confidence, about how this bald eagle was dropped into a chicken coop, and he grew up his whole life, and he was walking around with the chickens, and he saw an eagle fly up over the top. He said, "Wow, what's that?" And they said, "Man, that's an eagle." But don't worry, you'll never be able to fly because we're just chickens. And he grew up his whole life thinking that he was just a chicken. It was actually an eagle. So we took that and tweaked that a little bit. Looking at our middle story, Just a Chicken Little. How many of y'all have ever heard the story Chicken Little?
Henny Penny. I don't mean to embarrass nobody.
That's kind of the line of demarcation. Henny Penny, that was mine, all right. Chicken Little. How many of y'all saw the movie Chicken Little? You saw the movie. So if you know what you know about the previous story, and you kind of know what you think about us, what do y'all think our book Just a Chicken Little is about? Based on, and then we asked the students, based on your previous knowledge, can you draw an inference from? And they're like, oh.
You trying to trick me into learning.
See, it's just a bait and switch. We come in there talking about football. They were like, exactly. We come in there talking football. It's like text dependent analysis. Here we go. They're like, oh. So yeah, looking at our text, what do we think our book Just a Chicken Little is about? Based on what you know about Chicken Little, based on what you know about Just a Chicken.
Based on what the authors we're talking about, possibly.
Don't give up on getting your message across.
Don't give up on giving your message across. Could be, possibly.
Is it about the younger generation learning from the older generation?
Younger generation learning from the older generation. Any other guesses?
Well, let me ask this. How many of us are Gamecock fans? All right. Well, you should know what Chicken Little's about then. Because about 3 or 4 times a year, we all go through it. Oh my God, I can't believe we just lost it. Who did we lose to?
I knew it. When we hired this guy 2 years ago, I said it. Go back, check my Twitter. I told y'all this was going to be the worst thing that ever happened to this program. I'm just telling you. Preston, thank you for taking my call today on the radio.
The baseball, listen to this. The baseball team this year, their record is 20-2. If you're not a sports fan, that means they've won 20 games, they've lost 2 of them. Somebody called the radio station. I just don't know about this team. We just lost a game, and I just don't think we're going to be up. Like, sir, they're 20-2. The sky is always falling for Gamecock fans, right? And the women. Here's the thing. I don't know. They've won 40
I'm just saying, halftime against South Florida, we only up by 15 points, and I'm just saying. I know we ain't lost a game in 2 years, but what are we doing, man? What are we doing? We're winning. That's what we're doing. From somebody who couldn't win a game, I'm telling you, just be quiet and take it. 1 point will do you well.
So we know this. So this is kind of our experience of being Gamecocks and Gamecock fans about how the sky is falling, but it also is about that idea of not letting information spread without checking the sources, and not about this concept of just panicking, also about sometimes being the adults in the room, right? Or being the people that can run around the building and everybody, as you said, Whitehall Elementary. It was a crazy day, but because of their leadership in the building, you wouldn't have known it. All right, they just had everybody ordered around. Meanwhile, the looks, people giving each other in the hallway. Ooh, all right, people moving along, but the leadership in the building made it so that the kids didn't just, oh my God. Y'all kept safe. You might have, what they say, it's like the duck mentality, right? You know what the duck mentality is, right? Calm on the top, paddle like hell underneath. But nobody else can see it. So we know how that goes.
And that's some of the stuff we talk about with our leadership stuff. Because again, some of the kids get this information, misinformation, but when we do professional developments, because that's some of the other things that we do, different keynote stuff with different districts, that's one of the big things is making those messages, because we have a cachet of teachers that are seasoned, let's say they're seasoned, been in this game for a while, they know all the tricks, but then we got a cachet of new teachers that are coming. And so what some have, some don't have over here. What some are really nice with technology over here, some of us who are seasoned are not. And so that's the opportunity we use when we're talking about our professional development. You can, okay, teach me how this TikTok stuff works, and I'll teach you classroom behavior management. Because yesterday, I'm not saying it wasn't right, but when I walked past your classroom and my class was all quiet and everybody was doing this and we was in a straight line, I just seen chairs going in there, but I just minded my business. So, and that's how it works. It's the same way with Chicken Little, the same way with our store. There's some stuff happening, but it's not the end of the world. Let me tell you about, just because we can't get the technology right, Preston, and you've been in the classroom for 50 years, we can fix this. It's gonna be all right. And that's the same deal when we talk about professional development. And of course, we're working towards middle school and high school kids as well.
All right, really quickly, go about our newest book. Our newest baby was called Houston Was a Rooster. All right, and this story is, it's really special to me, and special to us, because this book was a little bit different, because this is the first book we wrote in rhyme, right? So we challenged ourselves to write it in using rhyme, using rhyme schemes and things of that nature. And basically, the story is exactly what it says. All right, Houston was a rooster that don't crow no more. And what happens after you figure out you can't crow? What happens after you've lost your crow? What's the next step? And obviously, we said we wrote that during COVID, and that's just kind of where we are personally, where a lot of people end up where you may not be able to do the things you used to be able to do, but you can still offer a lot to whatever it is, whether that's your school, whether that's your community, your family, etc. And so that's the story that we're really proud of. A lot of times that's maybe for I have to say it's really cool pictures and things like that, but the adults really get into or get the point of that one. So really quickly, what we offer to everybody. Really quick, we do author visits. We call it AKA our reading workout. And this is a phrase that we like to say. We went from D1 to DI, right? Now, when I was coming through the teaching profession, what does DI stand for? Differentiated instruction, right? So when we come in there, we are not going to talk to the kindergartners the same way we talk to the fifth graders. We're not going to talk to the fifth graders the same way we talk to the third graders. Because we all they know have different learning needs and different things, different abilities, different needs, different wiggles, right? Kindergartners can't sit still for about 25 minutes before it's just, a lot of stuff going on. We understand that, and we cater our author visits to each class, each group, each grade level.
100%, and it's the same way when we're working with middle school, middle school and high school kids. Because again, if we catch a high school kid the second semester of his junior year, homeboy, you only got 3 more of these semesters. I don't know if you think you don't have much time left. So again, if you don't want to do certain things, that's cool. Let's start focusing on this way. And again, that's when we talk about different behavioral stuff, because a lot of us, again, I've been a third grade, I've been a kid in middle school when I didn't have any direction. Then I got a little bit of direction in high school. I've been all that. I've probably been the talkative kid in your class. I've been the quiet kid. I've been all of that stuff. And that's the cool thing for us to go out there and make those connections, because again, like Preston said, differentiating the instruction and using our story and using our parallel story that they can do it too. The biggest thing is that y'all younger, they got a whole bunch of enthusiasm. Man, that's why we love writing that book, Houston Was a Rooster, because for a lot of the kids that we're meeting, man, I've been working really hard and it's just not working. That's kind of like how life works, son. I don't know how else to tell you this, but I know what will happen if you don't do any of this work. Just keep on trying a little bit. Success is just a second pass quitting, right? And that's the same thing we're trying to impart. Not like they haven't heard this stuff before, but hearing it again from some other folks is really, really impactful. So again, that's really the cool thing for us, to differentiate the instruction and make the parallel for us that we went from D1 to the NFL to now we're professional authors, and that's available to them right now too.
And also in the part about differentiated instruction, if we've been to school, obviously we have books to offer, but if you saw us, if a kid saw us when they were in first grade, it's gonna be very different from when they see us when we're in fifth grade. So they might remember us, but when they were in first grade, we were identifying colors. We were making sounds like animals. We were doing animal shapes and sizes. But when they're in fifth grade, now we're doing text-dependent analysis. Now we're making previews, we're inferencing, we're doing all these different things.
Now we're digging down into the book and showing why this isn't the Clemson Tigers, because everybody won't get them jokes. Oh, Clemson. No, son, because this is the same skill you're gonna have to use on the test. They're gonna try to trick you. No, this is the LSU Tigers. Can you go back to the text and marry up? LSU is this and this, Clemson is okay. And it's the same skills and the same practical things y'all been teaching them. We just give it to them in that real world.
Yeah, so there's a different concept. If we've been to your school, we come to your school, and everybody experiences different play. Professional development, we go out to schools probably previous to school years or mid-school year, and we talk to teachers about reaching those specific kids because Langston, we were those kids who said, what do you want to do when you grow up? I want to play in the NFL. That's what I wanted to do.
I want to play baseball.
That's really what I want to do. I wanted to play baseball. But there ain't too many 5'11", 280-pound first basemen. That don't work out on a baseball field. I don't know if you were watching baseball. This don't look great in a baseball uniform. It's better in a football uniform. Baseball uniform.
It looks worse in that gray too.
Yeah.
Gray or white.
It just don't work. So
Tommy Lasorda.
we talk about reaching out, telling your teachers how to reach those kids who we always want to say this, and I'll say this to you all now. If you have that kid that walks in there and says, man, I want to play in the NBA, great, embrace him. Awesome, son. There's the sports section of the library. Go read all the basketball books that you can read, right? Because a lot of times like this, well, you know the chances of you making it to the NFL, man, that's fine. They don't understand statistics anyway. So just say, all right, cool. Read all the sports books and come back and report back to me. Engage them where they are. Talk to them about that because that's the same. That's where I was, and fortunately I had a teacher who did that thing and said, you know what? All right, cool. I see you're obsessed with sports. You're gonna be the sports reporter for the class. And lo and behold, this is what I do for a daily living, right? Because the teacher said, all right, I'm not gonna deny this little roly-poly second grade kid who weighs 150 pounds. I ain't gonna deny that. All right, I don't think it's gonna look right, son, but whatever. They let us do that. So embrace that idea about it because that's what they're interested in. If that's what they're interested in. So that's what we do with professional development. These are some of the school districts we worked with, Clarendon County.
Shout out Clarendon when they made when they combined the other districts. We did some
merged.
keynotes with them. We worked with their entire district, a couple middle schools and high schools.
District 5 in Lexington, we did a convocation at the beginning of the school year to sort of kick that off. We also do summer reading.
Summer reading, summer lit is really, really important. Of course, Read to Succeed Act, we know that's a big thing, especially in elementary school, but more so, even so with middle schools and high schools, there's a lot of Century 21 programs. We'll be contracting and doing some stuff with some Century 21 middle schools this summer, but that's the same thing. A lot of kids see that as, oh man, if I gotta work in the summertime, that means I must have failed or I ain't smart or whatever. We take the same stance as it is with sports. Summertime is when you catch up. Is when you go from being a bench player to at least maybe getting some start time. From the bench player to your mama actually having to wash your jersey because you actually got some dirt on it or something. Maybe you go from being the guy get a little bit of dirt on your jersey to actually starting. And it's the same thing we say. Maybe your skills wasn't right last year, second grade. They read this book, Where the Red Fern Grows. I hated it, it was terrible. This summer, you can choose whatever you want, brother. You can choose whatever you want to go out there and get that brain up. Now, yes, school's gonna come back and you're not gonna have that choice anymore, but we got to work in this summer. And maybe school's a little bit better. Maybe I'm a little bit less of a behavior problem. Same thing for the middle school and the high school kids. What are we thinking about with our direction? And so again, summer reading has been a really, really cool thing for us in changing that stigma. There we go, some of our flyers for the summer stuff. College Day.
Some people use this when they're doing college day. All right, so we had a folks in folks where we dress up. And we got to join in. That works there. It also works here. We've done this when we was in Pickens. I don't know if you noticed the theme that's going on in there.
And I'll go ahead and tell you, this was Pendleton. This was like a stone's throw from Memorial.
Let's just say we walked into the wrong college. We was like, oh, a lot of orange in here. All right. But it was college day. It was still college day, and then it was great because there was a few of they like hostages, and they're like, I like the Gamecocks. We can't say that around all the time.
Just hold up the picture by the camera.
Blink twice if you're okay.
But that's the biggest thing, regardless of who it is, because we can engage the kids. We can have that dialogue. Clemson is better. Okay, give me some reason why Clemson is better. Just don't tell me those 3 or 4 jokes your daddy keep telling you and you hear them. He ain't met the right Gamecock fan. I got some jokes too. And so that's the whole point. Can you come up with an argument? Can you defend your point? Okay, maybe I could, man, well, I like Gamecock basketball, but I don't like Clemson basketball. Okay, son, we call that a different perspective. Okay, empathetic posture, all these different things. And that's the cool thing where we can engage and use the carrot of sports and the things that's important in South Carolina, across our country, football, all of these different things to engage the kids.
We participated in some Real Men Read events. If you've had those in your school, we've done those types of things. Whereas school may having that. You know, if you invited community members from outside of the school to come into the school, we can kind of be the attraction for that event, or it can be in conjunction with that event. We had Lee Park Elementary did a great job. They had I don't want to misquote the numbers, but they had a tremendous amount of men from around the community coming and reading in each class, and they all came in for our presentations, and it was really awesome to get a chance to work with them. You can see the picture on top of all the men from the community that came in. It was fathers, it was workers, it was really awesome. So if that's something maybe your school is promoting, that's something that might be able to work. Again, we work in high schools. We just came from Timberland High School, where we can work with all types of groups, mentoring groups, pull out select students, athletic teams. We talked with them. We do it on an individual basis. So we work with them.
And that's a really cool part for us, because high school, we can really start having some of those little bit more mature conversations. Because in elementary, we don't want to crush dreams too much, and we'll talk about sports and all those different things. But when we get into like middle school and high school, I mean, we just flat out being honest with them. That's when we hit them with the stats. Like, man, I hope you make it, but you probably not gonna make it. But that still doesn't mean you can't have a career in the NFL, make it $250,000 a year. How many people want to still do that? I do. How many of us want to go to the Super Bowl for free? How many people want to go to every football game for free? Wear your own tennis shoes and shorts. One of our homeboys is an equipment manager. As soon as we said it, the kid's like, oh, I don't want to do that. You said you want to be in the NFL. You can't be Tom Brady. That's off the table. Who want to be Tom Brady? He divorced. He don't eat ice cream. What kind of life is that? But the whole point of what we're telling them is, if you get really good at those skills, you can have a career in the NBA doing a gajillion different jobs. We always use this example. When a sports team comes in town, there's 10 buses. The team on the first two, and there's 8 other buses. Who are on the 8 other buses? The ancillary folks, all the other teammates, the team doctor and his assistant, the dentist, the hair barber. We got our own security. Do you know we don't even trust nobody when we go to another town? We send our own bus drivers there first, because somebody might try to sabotage us or something, so we don't trust that. So maybe you want to be a truck driver. Maybe you want to be a long distance driver for our football team. We tell kids there's a bunch of ample opportunities, and that's the cool part for us when we get into high school, because we tell them, you ain't good like me. I'm old right now, I'm still better than you. I hate to tell that to you. They're like, no. We're not even having this discussion. I made it, you didn't.
So that's what we get into biology. It's like, man, let me tell you something, man. Your mama's 5'7".
Yep.
Your daddy's 5'8". Mm-hmm. That ain't gonna equal 6'5". I don't know how to tell you. It's not.
And on top of that, I see you walk in here tripping over your own shoes. Your shoes ain't even tied.
It just don't work like that. That's just biology. I don't know if you can figure that out yet. But so yeah, this was just from when we were at Lugolf. And so we did Lugolf Elementary in the school. And even within when we work with Lugolf, the conversations we're gonna have with the seniors is gonna be very different than the conversations we'll have with the ninth graders. All right, so we do all that. Our favorite group that we're learning.
Woo, the messy middle.
Woo! Woo, middle school.
God bless you.
Appreciate your service. We need to be awarded. We need that medal of honor for all middle school teachers. You know, middle school's obviously it's different because they don't know whether they're babies, they want to be adults. Do I like the kids' book? I can't show nobody else I like the kids' book. It's all kinds of weird stuff that you work with. So again, we did work different with the 8th graders than the dudes from the 6th graders, and we figured out a way how to work with them. So we made it, and one day we went, and we was over at North Central. We did the elementary school in the morning, and we went to the middle school in the afternoon. That was one of our best events with the middle school, because the students were awesome in North Central. So we also do test support.
I forgot we do all this myself.
We do test support. We do a lot of ideas.
Because one of the things we always talk about, testing day, all tests are reading tests. So if you're really reluctant to read, or even if you're really good at math and you don't read the test question the right way and it's a word problem, man, all those math skills won't go right out the way. And so it all goes back to that same skill, that literacy skill, being able to bump all those things together. Because again, we all know how important tests are, especially when we hit these numbers and all that.
All right, finishing up, we work also virtual visits. If that's something that you are interested in, some of the schools that we've worked with, South Carolina Department of Education.
10,000 people on a virtual anti-bullying. Look here, man. I done played in front of 100,000 people, be in front of 10,000 people on a virtual screen elementary. You don't know what's gonna happen.
And so this is our final mea culpa right here. We work with college students also. If you don't know that, it's Carry On Joyner, who will hopefully be playing running back this year.
Okay.
He playing various positions. So
Okay.
we sponsor him as part of our initiative, and we've been working with him. And that's our final statement: is that we all go pro in books. We all go pro in reading, and that's where we sort of finish. So. Man, like I said, thank y'all for coming to our event. Thank y'all for coming for our time. We appreciate y'all's time.
We would love to share some information about coming to your school. If we can't come to your school because of budgets or whatever, we have plenty of virtual resources, asynchronous stuff that we'll share with you, share around, figure out some ways to make sure that we get there. Because again, we know how hard it is to get you to come to King Street or any part of any state, have an office come out there. But we definitely appreciate you guys attending our event. Give yourself a round of applause. Yes, there's an author panel
Do
this
you have
afternoon.
books to sell
Yes,
with you?
yes, we have
Okay.
some books to sell. We would
Good.
gladly, sell you some merch here, all this different stuff here. But we'll be upstairs a little bit later as well, I think at 2 o'clock for the office panel.